Hello, my name is Shay and you are watching Reviews by Shay. So today I will be talking about the 1971 film Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is directed by Robert Stevenson. So this movie was set in the 1940s, shortly after World War II had started, and these three kids, Charles, Carrie, and Paul, get sent out of London, and that's how they end up with Miss Price, who takes them in temporarily. They try to get back to London, but they end up seeing Miss Price try to fly on a broomstick, and that is how they learn that she is a witch in training. So she casts a spell on this bed knob, and the bed becomes the transportation device. So as the movie goes, Miss Price is trying to find the last spell to help save England. It didn't really have much of a solid storyline. Like, yes, she was trying to get the spell to protect England and defeat the Nazis, but it didn't really focus a whole lot on the Nazi part. It focused more on the journey to get this spell. And of course there was the typical stereotypes in this movie as far as, the witch with the typical broomstick and the black cat, and, it kind of actually reminded me a lot of stuff that we've seen today in Sabrina the Teenage Witch or Hocus Pocus. Talks about producing this movie happened around the same time as Mary Poppins, so a lot of people will look at this movie and say that it's a ripoff of Mary Poppins. But at the time, they didn't have the movie rights to Mary Poppins, and the composers for Mary Poppins were told that their songs could actually be used in another movie, which was Bedknobs and Broomsticks. After the success of Mary Poppins, though, Bedknobs and Broomsticks got put on the back burner. The pace was good. However, some scenes were so long that I can only imagine that children back in the day would lose interest because attention spans are short. I will say though that if this movie had been done in black and white, it would definitely not have been as pleasing. The colors are fantastic because Technicolor, and just the transitions were so beautiful. Like when they're flying on the bed, and just the cycle of colors that it goes through was just beautiful to watch. The sound effects were amazing too. One thing I did notice was kind of how they fed into those gender roles at the time. When the kids go off in the house to go exploring, they go into the room with all the toys, and the boys go for the more masculine type toys, the rocking chair, the trains, whereas the little girl, she looks in the dollhouse and then she picks up a couple dolls and she's rocking them like, she's a mom. And that really kind of, I think, reinforced that idea at the time that girls play with dolls and boys play with trains or cars or whatever. When they were doing the scene, the dance sequence in Portobello Road, I noticed the change in musical style for different groups, the Scottish group, and also not just groups, but like gender. Like when the women were dancing on the screen, it turned into more of a light, flighty type upbeat song, rather than when, men were on screen. I think this movie was groundbreaking in so many ways. I know that it wasn't the first movie to use, animated meets real life, but just the way that they did things was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed how they incorporated the two and how it looked like he was really like grabbing the necklace, or how just it looked, like the fish swam into his mouth. And then them dancing underwater, it seriously looked like they were dancing underwater, the way that they were like flipping and turning and everything. And I just thought that was beautifully done. And it wasn't just the animated part though. Another part that I really liked and that I thought was amazing for its time was the inanimate objects coming to life. The clothes, the medieval statues, all of that looking like they really came to life. And that's part of that magic and fantasy and that wonder that I love about these kind of movies. And that was kind of like the underlying message I got out of it, honestly. I think that the good message to come out of this is to believe in something. You know, we see it at the beginning of the movie when Charlie doesn't believe. Like, yes, he gets turned into a rabbit, but he doesn't necessarily believe that the bed is going to transport them. And then at the end, we see Professor Brown trying to get back to the children and Miss Price, and he says the spell, but it doesn't work. And he says to himself, you know, for once in your life, believe in something. And then when that happens, he, you know, ends up getting back to them. And I think that was a really good message, and still a good message today. You know, believe in yourself, believe in something, and magical things will happen.